So again, today I'm just going to go through this lecture relatively shortly, just to kind of explain. How many of you have looked at that one lecture? Okay. Anybody try to implement it? Copy and paste, or did you type it out?
Honestly,
copy
and paste. I've made a FlexSlider enough that, I mean, I see the pieces. I already put it in like 3 other websites.
Not listening to you any longer.
You know what's a lot of fun? FlexSlider tag cloud data post. It's not necessary, but you know, just
so moving on.
And FlexSlider is fun.
So yeah. So we'll talk about that. We'll do the course evaluations. They're scheduled to be live at 5:30, and then I'll step out of the room while you're doing it. Then, like I said, next week, Monday and Wednesday will be open lab. However, that Wednesday, I have a TAC meeting, which, Doug, you're going to be available to cover that on that Wednesday. And then all assignments are due no later than midnight, Friday, June 19th. And I will be grading all assignments that Sunday, on the 21st. Okay. So basically, FlexSlider. So how many of you have used FlexSlider in the past? Okay. How many of you like FlexSlider? I think it's, I don't know if I want to call it the best one, right? But I think it's a real nice compact slider that you can use on your home page. Or let me show you where I initially used what I'm going to show you now, where I initially used it. So in terms of for some reason, my DreamHost account is running incredibly slow today. I don't know why.
Yes, do it.
I don't know. Yeah, you have?
Here, yeah.
Okay, good. So in terms of my design that I did for my blog postings, right? I have 3 different designs going on. One, let's open up these other ones. Oops. So I have 3 different designs. One is where I present at the top one image. Okay, so I showed you how to do that with using featured images, right? So in this case, I'm not using featured images because in the same position here, I want to do 2 other conditions. So if we think about this in terms of conditional structure, if you want one image, place one image at the top. If you want a video at the top, place video at the top. If you want then a slideshow at the top, present slideshow at the top, right? Yeah, it was kind of cute. Let's move past that photo real quick, move past. Drill, baby, drill hard. So this is when I was building the kids a bunk bed. So and the dog likes it too. But for my blog, I had a design where I always wanted to have one of 3 options at the top, right? So how was I going to do that in the real world? Okay. Before, has anybody ever used a gallery or used some kind of thing where you put in shortcode? How many of you have experienced copying and pasting shortcode? Anybody? Right? So what ended up happening was I was using a, so if I go in and log into this one,
I mean, you don't have a custom login page?
no. Screw me up. I don't see the point.
Learn how to modify WP core because we don't want to.
Boy. First rule of WordPress, don't touch WP core.
Oh, but it was a lot of fun.
Moving on.
Have to add all my arguments.
I'm also going to log into my business site here. And I'm going to show you, if you guys don't know what shortcode is, let me show you an example. Okay. So if you've ever worked with galleries in WordPress, which we didn't really get into galleries here, but what you could effectively do is if you go and let's say want a photo gallery, you could do something like this, where you go to the add media, you create gallery, you say, you look at only photos uploaded to this page, and you select them all. You say create new gallery, and you can then say however many columns you want, link to attachment page, link to media file, link to none. So if you link to media file, let's say if you had a light gallery or a light box plugin, it would display it like that. So let me just insert gallery. It inserts it all at the top of the page here. And if we now view page, we have our gallery up at the top that we can then, so I'm using a Lightbox plugin, right?
What is the name for
WP jQuery Lightbox. Seems to be a pretty good one, right? So this is essentially how you could work with galleries using their default gallery structure, right? Or if you're using a plugin, like another gallery plugin, so if I go back and edit this page, and I go ahead and delete that, you might be using a way of doing it where, according to the plugin, you might be then using shortcode to call portfolio or call whatever gallery, right? So how many of you have ever like put shortcode into your posting here to call whatever content that uses shortcode, right? So that was great and all when let's dig into shortcode just a little bit further. If I go then to another one of my pages, my services pages, and let's just go to this one. Let's say you want to call in, again, for those of you at home, this section. Let's say you want to call in whatever posting number and call in the title, the image with a link, the excerpt, and a read more link, right? Well, I originally found a plugin to do just that, except for that plugin then wouldn't allow me to do a read more link and put links around the title and the image. So I ended up having to edit the plugin myself, right? So that led me to say, well, why do I need a plugin? Oh, why don't I just do this? Now on my school website that is now responsive, anybody notice that? I have my little social icon, so if you've been looking for my GitHub, there's now a link to it. So if I go to my functions, I basically used or created a function called get featured case studies that basically got the title, and for the people at home, got the title, the excerpt, the image, and the permalink, then wrote out using another variable that wrote out the markup, right, that got all the various parts. Then when you're setting up a function that you want to use shortcode with, you want to use a return statement because you'll get some funny results. If you don't use a return statement and you create shortcode for a function and put it in, you might notice that it doesn't go in the proper place. It'll go like up at the top, right? For some reason. I don't know if anybody's experienced that. But basically, you can create a function like this and then use the add shortcode function, case study, get featured case study. So this basically says, go get this function, right? Use this shortcode. So that's where then case study ID 2051. So in that function, I'm also passing a variable for the posting ID, which gets the integer value, the ID, right? So basically then you can get the ID of whatever posting to then get the title, the image, the link, the whatever of whatever posting ID, okay? So basically my point is if you used a custom gallery kind of thing, right? Which I was using one called JGallery that a former student named Darren Reed, shout out to Darren Reed. Now I can do that, be like shout out, because this is not going to be published on the web. It's kind of new, it's fun. It's like I'm a talk show host or something.
Could be a new career path.
Could be a new career path. I should have been a voiceover actor. That's my
That's pretty good.
thing. I know, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So I should talk like that while I'm doing my lectures. I won't. What was my point? So Darren wrote a plugin that then used shortcode to say, do you want the navigation up here, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it was good for the time being. What I found myself doing was copying and pasting shortcode from an earlier posting to the next one to basically get the attachment images and display it as a gallery, okay? So instead, Let's go to the lecture and wait for it. So essentially, I had these galleries on each one of my blog postings that I was then copying and pasting a set of shortcode. Right, this is the JGallery shortcode. JGallery, display images, size, large, height, variable, JGallery, captions, etc., etc. Right, which was just the way he had his set up. And like I said, it worked for the time being. But what I wanted to do was, when I was making my site, converting my blog into being a responsive site, I had bastardized his plugin to make it a little bit responsive, but I wanted to use FlexSlider. Well, if you then go to FlexSlider, or let's say if we go under my HCD 532 lecture sizes, how many of you have looked at that and seen this create an image slider with jQuery? A lot of you in my 200 class, right? So if we go to FlexSlider, it's a really nice little plugin kind of thing. But let's say you wanted to do it in WordPress. Oh my God, what? I have to spend 50 bucks? I don't want to buy anything on the internet, right? I thought everybody develops stuff for free for me to use. It's a little sarcasm. But what I noticed when I've used some other plugins to do some sliders, the way that they've set up the interface in WordPress has been really, really funky. Okay, so what I had the bright idea of was, in terms of something like this, what I wanted to do was, I thought I already logged in here. How many different passwords do I have for different WordPress installs?
You don't use the same one for all of them?
Not all of them. So what I wanted to do was, if I was making a posting, then you can see that here's my text. Well, it's over, I did it, which is here. Whoops. Is here, okay? But notice there's no shortcode up here that I'm copying and pasting, right? So what again, the three conditions was, well, let's say it like this. What I wanted to do was upload files to a posting, 6, and have WordPress grab those images from that posting and display them at the top of my posting in FlexSlider, okay? So basically what I had to do is see, are there images attached to this posting? If there are, display them in a FlexSlider. If there are not images attached to this posting, for instance, if I just refresh, it'll allow me to log in. If there are no images attached to this posting, right? So if I go to media uploaded to this post, there is a audio file, but no images. So therefore, don't put anything at the top and allow me to put a video into my page. So basically, you can, just like you embed a video anywhere else, right? You know how to grab the embed code for a video, right? You place it in the text portion of your editor and there's your video, okay? So what I ended up doing was this. Oops. Why am I opening yet a new tab? Why don't I go over here and then open a new tab? So basically what I did then was, you can see that above the content, I have this function, add FlexSlider. Okay? Which, again, I'm starting to be a fan of. If I have a lot of conditional type statements in there, I will then take those conditional statements and put them in my functions file and put them there, right? So if we go back to the FlexSlider markup here, basically with FlexSlider, you have to do a few different things. In other words, you have to put the call to the jQuery library. You have to then do a call to the FlexSlider jQuery file and add the markup for FlexSlider. That uses div class FlexSlider, UL class slides, and then what it does is it rotates the list items. So you can put a whole bunch of stuff into the list items, right? So basically what I had to do was echo div class FlexSlider, echo UL class slides, open a list item, get the attachment image large, open a p tag, get the excerpt, close p tag, close list item, close UL, close div, right? So basically, this would write out the markup for one slide. Then what I needed to do was say, well, for each, right? Because I needed to dig into WordPress to see, for each attachment image, write out this set of list items. For each attachment, as attachment ID attachment. Okay? Now, I'll be honest with you, I originally dug into the get children function to find out how to do this. So if we go to here, right, let's go back to my little lecture I wrote up. So basically the issue was that I was tired of copying and pasting shortcode to call the galleries. So I went and downloaded FlexSlider, where I put their FlexSlider.js in a scripts folder. I put their fonts where I needed to, because now their back and forth arrows are working off fonts. I put their CSS in the root of my folder, my theme folder. I then linked to the FlexSlider CSS. So if we look at this on the home page of my business site, in the header, here is the call to the jQuery, right? jQuery min. Here is the call to the FlexSlider JavaScript that I put in a scripts folder. Here is the FlexSlider CSS that I just put at the roots of my theme folder and used blog info template directory to point to it. Okay, so if we go back to this theme, we can see that FlexSlider CSS is just sitting in the theme folder. I put the scripts of FlexSlider in the scripts folder. Right. We use FlexSlider then with that bit of jQuery, load function, etc. So if we go back to here, hook up the slider, right? So if you've linked to the jQuery library, you've linked to their jQuery script that they wrote, then you need to put on window.load, call the FlexSlider function for the class of FlexSlider, right? And then you can tailor it to your needs with all of these parameters that it accepts. So what I did was animation fade, slideshow false, which meant slideshow false don't automatically, right, don't start automatically rotating, right? So on and so forth, right? Once I did this in my blog, I thought, well, what's a real practical application for it? Because I thought to myself, well, this is for me in my blog, and I don't know if other people are going to find that useful in terms of how many of you have a blog that you have a slider up at the top of your page or the top of your single posting. Look at that, no hands. One hand? Okay. But where might you have a slider like this? Gallery or front page. That's where then on my business site, what you see a lot is a slider on the home page, right? So what I've done for my clients for them to be able to have a slider on their home page and be able to put text that they want with an image and a learn more, right? At their discrepancy or at their whatever you call it, at their Willie Nelson, at their doing it willy-nilly, right? Their whatever you want to say, the word is escaping me. Convenience, right? So I did it where, I'm not going to log into theirs, but I did it where then a slider like this on the home page. So here's my home page where I have my little SEO snippet of text, right? And we go to add media, uploaded to this page. So I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slides that then if I look at the properties of this slide, this is where title, caption, alt text, description. The description field is kind of powerful, okay? Meaning, if we go to our media library, the view from there looks kind of funky. But if we went to my media library and I went, and here are a couple of those slides. If I went to edit this slide, it is going to show me this view, right? Where I have the title, I have the caption, I have the alt text, and here I have a description which by the nature of them showing me all these tags here, that tells me that this field right here accepts HTML tags, right? Now I set up the one for Jet City Improv a little bit differently, where I set up a Learn More button, and I just had them put the link to the Learn More in one of these fields. But how I've set up this one here is on my home page. If we look at one of these, image, oops. Come on. There we go. I think you have to actually click on one of them to stop it. Image, description. And in this case, this description here has, I'm just using it as kind of a meta box for just text, that I can put HTML in it. So therefore, I then put whatever quote by somebody and put a link to a case study if there was one, right? So each one of them says something a little bit different. Quote, so all of them say quote and byline. Some of them say read case study. One of them says read article. And a couple of them don't have any kind of link associated with it. So if I go back here, basically what I did was used a block quote tag, used a cite tag, right? And on this one, I don't have it going to anything because I didn't have a case study written up for it. But let me find one that does. So this one, I put in the read case study link, you know, just put in markup, right? So in the function then, get FlexSlider. And I've edited this one since my last one because I found some kind of, again, just copying and pasting stuff, found some places where I didn't need certain things or it was calling not necessarily the correct thing I wanted it to call. But nonetheless, it's the same if there are attachments. In other words, if there are images uploaded to this page, the home page, open up div, in this case I said ID Spotlight Home, class FlexSlider, open up a UL, class slides, for each attachments as attachment ID, property of attachment, open up a list, get the full-sized image, open up a span called description, get the post field for this post content is description, the description field, close span, close list item, close UL, close div. Okay. So the missing component then that I haven't really described to you is this get children. So this is all great, but how do we actually dig into then a post to see if it has attachments? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the scripty stuff, the solution. Here was my FlexSlider function that I wrote that uses the get children function. Okay. So get children retrieves attachments, revisions, subpages, possibly by post parent. Okay. So basically what it does is it receives children nodes to whatever page you're posting, right? So a node can be a subpage, it can be an attachment, it can be a revision, etc. Okay. So we've seen this now how many times? So if we're using the getChildren function, we have the arguments that we can supply to it, which would be number of post, what's its parent, what is the post type, status, post MIME type, etc., etc., etc. So this is where I think I found some code in here that I started with that, again, like I said, I probably copied and pasted a little more than I should have way back when, right? But then wrote around it and got it all configured. So let's describe what's actually happening. I'm setting up a variable called attachments that gets children. So if there are attachments, for each attachments, then use the whatever variable attachment ID, okay, or the property attachment. Again, this part of the for each loop here is getting clearer to me, right? But going back here to getChildren, that's where we want to say post parent is the post ID. In other words, if I'm on the home page, grab the children for the home page, order them ascending, then reorder them. I know this is kind of funny. Reorder them by however you place them. Meaning, if I was editing the home page, one of my many that I have open, I don't have that one open right now. Why not? Let's open a new tab, shall we? Might as well, right? What else do I have to do today?
That's what you're saying.
No. Meaning if I reordered these, however I wanted to reorder them, I'm not going to do it, but, well, that's actually, how did I have it? This was last? This was last. I can't remember, whatever. But however I ordered it, right? That's what order by menu order means, right? However you order it. Then post type, attachment, post MIME type, this means image, not revision, not whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So again, some of this stuff, post MIME type, what does that actually mean? Right? What I know is I know how to read the codex to say post MIME type, right? Image, video, etc. Image, that's what I want, right? See what I'm saying? Okay. So basically, in a nutshell, like I said, what we're doing here is setting up a function that then you are getting the parameters of that function, tying it to a variable for each one of those variables, write a set of markup, etc. Now, because we're inside of a function and we will be using the post variable, meaning here we're looking for the ID of whatever post we're on. This is that one place where inside of a function you are going to have to designate that post as a global variable. That's what I've found. Okay. Yeah, so basically then, one long story short, on my home page then for Premium Design Works, page home, because I didn't know you could call it page-front, right? So you learn new things. If you're not learning something new every day, there's something wrong. There's just something wrong, right? And it's kind of neat to see that legacy of stuff that you didn't know a while ago, right? In your GitHub. But so I said page home, and then I created a template for home page. But here's where I just, get header. Here is loop 1 to get my SEO snippet. Here's loop 2 to get the whatever postings. And then above it, add FlexSlider, right? Which then calls this function, and lo and behold, then we have a slider on our homepage. So that's the real useful where you can use it, right? Which I think that, how many of you have used a FlexSlider on your homepage before, right? So if and when you want to go and do that in WordPress and you want your clients to be able to upload an image, in this case with a caption, and should I log into this to see how we did it? Yeah. Don't tell these guys that I'm logging into their site right now. What? No. Huh?
It looks better than that.
Oh, yeah. So if we're on their homepage, hopefully I don't screw anything up while I'm in there. Here's their SEO snippet of text, add media, upload it to this page. There are their 4. I use the description field to have them put the URL in because I needed a field to do that, right? So on there, code, I think I just updated something. Yeah, I did. Page home, okay, FlexSlider, functions. So we originally had set it up where we were doing it if it was on the home page or if it was on another page. We have since discontinued it being on the other pages because it just didn't work as well as we had hoped. So this is where I am then saying the link gets the post field for description. So I've then set up a learn more button that the href pulls from the description field. So they can, on that learn more button, just put in whatever place they want it to link it to. Yeah, so that's how I've used FlexSlider for my clients, for myself, et cetera, et cetera.
What wasn't working about the structure?
Apparently in one of the new versions of WordPress, if I were to, so basically this works off of attachment images. So if I want to use an image and place it into the content area, but I don't want to attach it to that page, I used to be able to do that just from the media library. Now in the new version of WordPress, every time I place an image from the media library into a page or a posting, it automatically now attaches it to that page or posting. So we had stuff that went in the FlexSlider that we didn't want in the FlexSlider. So we changed it to just pulling the, we changed it to pull the featured image. Because we then talked about it, well, do you even need a slider for pages and postings? No, we just need one image. Great. We'll just put it in and pull the featured image. Okay. Now, on my blog, if I only have one image, there is a really nifty feature about FlexSlider that by putting this together, I discovered. If it looks into your attachments and finds only one attachment, so it essentially writes up one list item. Come on, show me the page. Seriously. How many times can I click that? Is it working? Come on. Oh my God, seriously. Well, I think Chrome just died on me. Nope, there it goes. Man, it's taken a wicked long time, isn't it? There is something about, did everybody read that? Anybody read that posting I posted to the group about if you have a shitload of tabs open in Chrome, it'll slow your computer down? You already noticed that? Yeah, so there's a plugin that I'm using now that if my tabs are inactive for 5 minutes, it suspends them. Yeah. Anyhow, so if I go to kill your cable television, come on.
Where's it posted again?
I posted it in the Facebook group.
What's the name of that group?
Seattle Central Web Design and Development.
Who if
Anyhow.
I add myself to it?
Huh?
Who if I add myself to it?
Yeah, it's a public group. I mean, we have to approve you. So just ask to join and we'll approve you.
Sweet.
So if there's only one image, you won't get the little navigation things. So it looks like it's just a static image. That was something I discovered about FlexSlider that was like, oh, how convenient. Because I was thinking to myself, well, how am I going to deal if there's only one image? Where that's where I initially wrote a conditional of if there's more than one image attached. If image attachments is greater than one, whatever, then do this. Else, get the featured image. So I didn't have to do that because of this.
Don't you like when things are just designed efficiently with
Yes,
all the possible
I do.
uses in mind?
I'm gonna find the baby because I really don't want to grab that. Is there any?
You can't hear it, but Gus right here is playing that meow 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 for Leo, and Leo is very, very interested. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. Yeah. So going back to the lecture, right? Then you add FlexSlider in there. Yeah, that's basically how this function basically works. So I found it to be pretty handy for adding a FlexSlider to, or if you need to do anything with attachment images. So what I did then, if you noticed when I went to portfolio, let's just go to my website one. Here, again, the default galleries in WordPress would not allow me to pull the title. How a gallery doesn't allow me to pull the title? Just the image and the caption? Well, that's useless. Seriously, the default gallery that you saw me, it wouldn't allow me to do the title. So I was like, well, I love you, WP, but that kind of. So what I did then was use the same attachments. And again, this is the ID thing right there that I don't need. It should be post ID. Oh, it didn't really matter if you're using a function or not. But if attachments, and this is where I think this is called recursion. I'm not sure. Where you set up a variable and then you add values to that variable. What's that called? That's not called recursion, is it?
No, it's declaration and assignment.
Okay. Yeah, so basically I had to set up the variable for each attachment, etc., right? Get the permalink, get the attachment ID medium, this case, get the title, get the excerpt, right? Then I added it using Shortcode. So basically, I laid out how to do a portfolio gallery. Then via Shortcode, portfolio, right? So here's the shortcode for the function of get portfolio. So this equals that. This then is the shortcode label that you put here. So basically, there is where I want the portfolio that then goes and gets the attachments and lays them out with the image with a link, title with a link, the excerpt or description field, caption field, I think, with a link, and then it links to an attachment page, which, if you are looking at any piece of media in your library, for instance, this one, this is now an attachment. Okay? View attachment page. It uses the template page on here. I think it uses the default index here, but that's kind of weird. That shouldn't be doing that. It should be using the, so in my business site, then I have attachment.php, which is the template PHP file for attachment images. That then what I'm doing is for those attachments, getting the title, getting the image size large, putting in a navigation structure that goes to previous image or next image, so that it opens up then in an attachment window here, and I can then scroll through each attachment. Right, which then each attachment allows me to say then in the description field, visit website, read case study. So on this image, if I go to edit media, on this image, again, in the description field is where I'm putting the HTML. So what I should be doing here, this is where on my portfolio, right? On basically the portfolio, this is the excerpt field or the caption field that I'm getting. And the other one is the description field. So therefore, with those two different fields, you can have two different sets of content. Where this is where in the description, I should put in scope of work, et cetera, to make it a little bit longer, you know, but I just haven't gotten there yet. All right, so anyhow, that was the basically how to get attachment images and a little bit more about attachment images, right? So, any questions? No? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get a sandwich while you guys are filling out the evals. So if you go to WEB170 schedule, which now my website is running a whole lot faster because I turned the Super Cache plugin back on. If you go to the schedule, please also take time to complete the course evaluation. You're kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. Seriously. Well, let me go to one of my other classes, and because I just copied and pasted that link from my other classes. Huh?
I was here.
Seriously. What are they doing at this college sometimes? Yes, that's on videotape. You're hearing me complain about this on video. You guys think you're the only ones that complain? It's a joke sometimes. Let me find the correct link if this is the, so let's see. Course evaluation. Fucking kidding me. God, I hate you guys. Not you, students. Let me check my email. Hold on. Seattle College's EDU faculty evaluations.
Oh, it's for the district.
Well, yeah, but whatever link that, the point is whatever link that they had last time is now not working. They make things extremely hard on us. There we go. Okay. Let me change that link. Fucking Lord. That's what it is. They changed it from SC. Jesus Christ, you guys, man. That's what they did. And I'm still recording this, by the way, so you can hear my complaints on tape now. What?
It works though.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Let me view page. So if you go to my schedule and click on that link, which should be working here as soon as the internet starts to work around this joint. Item number. Connection lost. Saving has been disabled. Oh my God. Good, that link works. Item number for WEB170 is 3, 2, 4, 1. Password. Guess what the password is? Web, uppercase.
Oh, God.
170. Somebody test it to see if it works. It works? Good. I'm going to go get a sandwich because I'm not supposed to be in the room while you guys fill these out. Thanks. Oh, I should probably turn off the recording. So I'm going to sign off today with note. If you change a link on your website, do a fucking redirect.